we're going to talk about using AI in work. And I've been doing this more and more. I know you've like dabbled a little bit, and if
It's actually I've been using it more in content more than work.
Which I actually think, so that's one of the interesting things about AI is there's so many different ways you can use it. And so the ways that I understand are the ways that I already am working and how I can kind of plug it into the work that I'm doing. Yeah. And I know, like, I'm not a coder, quote unquote. I'm not like a back end developer type. So I don't completely understand that side of it. I know I've heard amazing things about what AI can do with coding. Yeah. Obviously, AI has been around for a while in ways that we don't even really realize. And I've worked with some companies that do artificial intelligence and machine learning in like supply chain stuff and simulations. And like during COVID, it was like they would do these simulations of like how many people can we fit in this room, how much do we have to spread them out to, and they would build these like models,
systems around it.
But what I know is how I'm using it in my business. So I thought I could talk about that. And I alluded to it earlier. One of the main things for me is curing blank page syndrome.
Yeah. Good.
And blank page syndrome, patent pending, is something that I struggle with quite a bit, is this idea of like, I have a gazillion thoughts, but I don't even know where to start. And so one of the things that I'll do with a tool like ChatGPT, so just to talk about a couple tools I use, ChatGPT is one that I use. I pay for the premium or plus or whatever they call it. I use copy.ai. I've been using that one for about a year. And the reason I use that one is because it's the first one I heard about. I know there's Jasper. I know there's some other ones. There's recently one that I've experimented with called Copy Hoppy, and it's or Hoppy Copy, I don't know, something like that. And the reason I like that one is it's got a bunch of like built-in templates, like email sequences and stuff. It's very much geared towards like email marketing and that kind of stuff. And it's got like, like I want to write a welcome sequence, and you plug in some stuff and it spits out copy. But all of those tools are powered by OpenAI, which is what powers ChatGPT. So the things I'll use it for is like, I'll use it for ideas for topics. Like if I'm doing content, I'll be like, like, all right, give me some ideas for XYZ, and it'll spit it out. And I'll be like, give me 10 more, give me 25 more, give me 50. And it'll do it. I'll use it for articles, keywords for articles. You can even have it write articles and give it keywords to say, put it in the article. I've even seen people, I haven't done it for myself yet, but I've seen people, they'll do it in markdown style where it actually does, like header 1, header 2, and then it can hyperlink, it can do all these things. And it'll essentially, you can just copy and paste directly into your blog if you're daring. I'm not daring. My process, if I'm using it for content creation, like let's say we're doing a blog post, I will actually start with, hey, I want to write an article about this, and I'll tell it a bunch of information that I want to pull from, let it spit out an article outline. I'll say, give me an outline. It'll spit out an outline. I'll be like, no, I don't want this topic. Like here's, I'll refine the outline, and then I'll say, okay, now write the first section, write the intro paragraph, and then I'll refine that. And I'll say, write the next section. I'll refine that. So it's an iterative process, but it's speeding up that blank page syndrome. I mean, like I seriously think it's about 10 times, like in terms of output, what the amount of time, like something that for me would probably be something like if I was writing a blog post for my website, it probably sits in an open document for a week on my desktop, just kind of in the background, and I get to it when I can. This, I can churn it out in an hour or two and be very confident and actually post it versus that thing sitting in the back of my desktop, whether or not at the end of the week I get around to posting it, whether it's there yet. There's a graveyard of half written blog posts on my computer. So yeah, that's a pretty fascinating thing.
It's interesting to me how the way you approach it. So you'll have it write something, you'll refine that, give it back to it, and say, now do the second piece. And now, so you're like throughout the whole process interjecting yourself back into it. which is fun.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are probably just using it and then plug and play. Like I'm going to copy
Sure.
Command C, Command V, right? Like I'm putting that right into my blog.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that you're still taking time to make it your own.
Well, it's not even making it your own. It's not smart enough to do to do it well. It can simulate knowledge, and it's in some topics it's going to come up with something way better than me. But when it comes to my areas of expertise and my own personal philosophies, I have to teach it that as it's going along. And some of the next steps with some of the auto GPTs, which I haven't messed around with yet, which is essentially like being able to have your own installed on your desktop version of Chat GPT, but have it draw from your own knowledge base. Yeah. Like that's something I would love to do. Is essentially
GPT stand for?
That's a good question. I actually want to do a video. Yeah, I want to do a video on all the terms because I don't even remember them off the top of my head. Yeah. But I have, I actually went on ChatGPT and asked it to do all these things. It's generative. I knew it was generative.
Retrained.
Pre-trained.
Retrained. Yeah. Okay.
The idea behind GPT, generative pre-trained transformer, is that it's machine learning on a certain set of information. So like ChatGPT 3, I think was on about 700 gigs worth of information. And ChatGPT 4 is many terabytes of information, in addition to all of the feedback that comes from human input. Right. So every time you say, no, that's not quite it, it's learning and going, oh, this person didn't like the response. And it's teaching not just for working with me, but the model in general, that like, this is how you get it better. We'll talk about that a little bit later on the next topic. Yeah. Because I was doing some copywriting for our new business venture that I'm excited about. And I needed to really explain what I was talking about because it kept misinterpreting what I was trying to do. But along those same lines, one of the things that, so that's a good, I need to do a video on the YouTube channel that is, definitions of AI terms.
Because if you had like a 5-minute video, literally just ripping through the, because I think people use that, but they don't even know. Yeah.
Like obviously you asked me what ChatGPT was and I couldn't pull that out of thin air. I remember generative, but that's as far as I got. And so, but there's a bunch of terms, like what is AI? Like I put in, what is AI? Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. And ChatGPT spit out like, imagine you have a robot friend who's really helpful and really smart. like did this whole explain it to him like I'm 5. I'm like, that's exactly how you'd explain.
I wonder, this is kind of a rhetorical question, I guess, but like, I wonder if AI right now, the state of AI can be equated to an age. Like what age is AI right now, right? Like let's 10 years from now, 20 years from now, is there a teenage version of AI? And are really what's blowing us out of blowing our minds right now is this like 2-year-old AI. Not literally 2 years old. Obviously AI has been around longer than that, but if we were pretending that it was a living thing, well, are we experiencing like this kind of very toddler-esque version of AI? Yeah. And, down the road, we're going to really see how it I think it's it's revolutionary, right? Yeah. Like
when I was in like high school and college, computing power would essentially double every year. Yeah. Like the way technology was advancing, it's kind of slowed down a little bit. And also everything's gotten so much more efficient. Like what you can do on 16 gigs of memory, I don't even completely understand why, but 16 gigs of memory is way more powerful than it was in 2006. But it used to be like, 1 year the 2 gigabyte RAM would come out, the next year be 4, the next year be 8, the next year be 16, and it was like every year and a half these things were doubling. In the same way, AI is like doubling, but it's doing it in like weeks. Like it's crazy, and like I do not understand it because what I'm doing with it is some of the most simple stuff out there. When I hear like real AI people talk, like I listen to a lot of AI interviews and stuff. When I hear about the real people doing the work, it's blowing me away. You know, I'm just like, well, I'm just going to stick to what I know because, you know, at 35 years old, I don't have time to learn completely new skill sets. Yeah. But I know marketing, and I can use it in my little corner to the best of my abilities. If you enjoyed this Brand Nerd podcast clip, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. In the meantime, here are additional videos you might find illuminating.